Welcome to That 30 Show, a podcast where we talk about the good, the bad, and the surprising parts of our 30s. I'm G, and I'm finally 30. I'm excited to find out if 30 really is the new 20, because if it is, then the best years are yet to come.
And I'm David. I'm entering my mid-30s. I used to have no back pain or trouble sleeping, but now I live off a healthy diet of self-help books and dream of being in bed by 10 p.m. every night. Join us each week as we try to figure out together what life in your 30s is all about. Welcome back to That 30 Show. Hi, G.
Welcome back to another Uncut episode. And this is actually the last time we're going to be saying welcome back to That 30 Show for a while. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a bit. Well, not that long, but for a bit.
Okay,
but we'll get into that.
Coming right off the bat with that hard-hitting truth bomb, that mic drop.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that afterwards. But we got a bunch of stuff to catch up on. So it's not the end quite yet.
It's not the end. It's not over yet. We still got one more to go. But what's up? What's been going on lately?
Too much. Yeah. I've got a bunch of random stuff to update and share. But I think we'll spend a little bit of time later on talking about, juggling life's many simultaneous priorities and people and obligations. But in short, I've just been on survival mode, honestly. And I am...
Oh, gosh.
I'm basically burnt out, but what's new with you?
So little time, so much to do. I'm actually feeling the same way. I don't know if it's like a summer thing.
Summer is hectic.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like I've been so go. Like every weekend, it's been like nonstop. And then the weekdays are used to like catch up. And then it's like, oh, we're back to the weekend.
Yeah. Like summer's usually every weekend is booked up with something.
Yeah.
I mean, I shouldn't say. Hopefully, everyone has, whatever. Live your life if that's what makes you happy, and if you're happy not having plans, that's fine too. But summer is usually the calendar's pretty full, and then like sometimes, I don't know if this year, but sometimes certainly in the past when I was at least more youthful and energetic, I remember people like, hey, let's hang out. And I'd be like, all right, the next available weekend is August.
Oh my gosh. It's like booking an appointment for like a specialist. You like can't get an appointment in until like weeks later.
You know why though? And this is not to inflate our ego. I think a lot of people are like this, but you know why? It's because we live in the city of Vancouver, which if you have heard about, or maybe live here, might have heard, Vancouver has unceremoniously been anointed the most unaffordable city to live in Canada. I think the statistic rent here is 17% higher than in Toronto. So like if you want to save money, go to Toronto. Is that freaking crazy?
Yeah, that is but crazy.
The reason we put up with it, my point is, the reason we put up with this shite is for these 4 months of brilliant, beautiful, just jaw-dropping summer months.
Yeah,
and that's why true. We're so busy, because these are the months we're living for. Not G lives for the fall, but for the rest of us, we live for the summer.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. It rains like pretty much 3/4 of the year. So in the unlikely event that it's not raining, we need to take advantage of it. And we have actually been blessed with beautiful weather these days.
So good.
Climate anxiety aside, I think it's great that we're having great weather. But I don't remember my summers being this crazy either. I feel like it's just this year, and I'm not really sure why. But yeah, it's been busy. So what have you been busy with?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. I don't know where to start. I don't have any specific story that I wanted to share right off the bat, but I had a couple points maybe before we look ahead or talk about our stuff. I want to take a bit of time to reflect on our previous episodes, specifically in terms of feedback or insight that we've gotten. We have been wanting to get listener feedback a lot of times And we did get our first email and our first Instagram DM, albeit from people we already knew, but still, it's a human interaction. If we don't know you and you're listening, we really want to hear from you. Like, not to guilt trip you, but if you're listening and you don't know us, you would literally make our week, our month.
Yeah.
If you email or DM us, because we're like, oh, we love our friends who support us, but we hope that our fun stories, our uplifting stories, our fun banter is getting out into the world.
Actually, I have to share this funny story.
Oh, sure.
Because we have been actually seeing like a bit of an increase in our Instagram followers, which is awesome. But you know, a lot of the times it's our friends, which we love you, friends. Like you guys are great, supportive. But every time we get a new follower, like David will ask me if I know this person, and usually it's a yes, right? And so there's this one person that I saw on Instagram, and I was like, hey, I don't know them. Maybe I should, and I don't see any mutual, so I should ask David if he knows who this person is, because maybe it's our first stranger follower. And I was like, David, do you know this person?
We love our strangers on this show. All the candy, all the fans get into.
And so I was like, David, do you know this person? And David goes, yeah, that's my aunt.
Yo, and if my aunt is listening, my aunt is listening. Yo, like full props. Thanks, auntie. Appreciate.
I just thought that was so funny. Because I was like, oh, finally, it's like we don't have any mutuals, but it's David's family, which is great. Hi, auntie.
No, I mean, we're so lucky to have people support us.
Yeah, totally.
But, you know, as I said in the previous episodes, it's a lot of work and we try to put quality content out there. So our next goal is to really spread. And that does like spread the pod. That relates to why this might be the end. But again, we'll get to that later.
We're really putting in little teasers here and there.
Real teasing. A lot of teasing this episode.
Stay tuned till the end if you want to find out what's going on. Make sure you listen to the whole pod.
We're really trying to clickbait everyone into listening. Hey, like usually they might stop at the first 10 minutes. We're like, wow, they're really trying to keep us tuning in. Okay, so listener feedback. So let's start with there's not a ton, but let's start with the wedding episode, because you told me that amongst, you know, the people that you know that listen and engage, apparently there was a lot of chatter about this, especially probably my stupid opinions and takes on things, which is my fault.
No, well, I mean, the wedding episode that we had Olivia on, I think that was the most discussion generated amongst my friends, I think, ever for one episode. Everyone pretty much was listening to it, and I think it's because we were all kind of there and we all witnessed it, so it's fun to recap. But in particular, your take on why gold and gifts are given at the tea ceremony generated a lot of surprise, I suppose. And then it kind of went off, and it was like a fire spreading because everyone's asking their own families, like, what does it mean to receive gold during a tea ceremony? And I think we didn't really have a consensus, honestly. There were a few people that had said the same thing as you, that it was for, you know, difficult times or to keep for the bride if something happens to her husband, because back in the old days, apparently brides can't take care of themselves. So this is, you know, provided for the bride. Well, but for the most part, I think it's for like, a gift to start your life together. Auspicious. And to, So
I did tell you, G, you know this, but as I was editing, was that an edited episode? Yes. As I was editing that episode, I was listening back to myself. I was like, damn, I'm full of shit. So like I went to my mom who's visiting and I was like, Mom, I said this on the pod. Am I right? And then so she said yes. In people in her generation. Yeah. But again, she's just speaking within her own family and her extended family. Maybe this is, you know, not universal, but more. But just in my defense, my mom did back me up. And so really the culprit is my mom. So I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot me.
I mean, you know, I texted my mom and I said, what do the gifts mean at a tea ceremony? And she called me right away and she was like, what is a tea ceremony? So my mom was not helpful at all.
Did your mom not get married?
What is a tea ceremony?
Did your mom not have a tea ceremony when she got married?
I think it's like a different thing. I think for people from Hong Kong, I think tea ceremony is a thing, but mainland China, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if everyone in China has those
Really?
kinds of traditions. Yeah.
Oh,
So
interesting.
my mom said it's more of like called like giving away the last name. It's not really called a tea ceremony. It's like a different ritual or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah. And then after she was like, you can use the gold for whatever you want. I'm like, okay. All right. So you don't really know.
Wait, speaking of giving away the last name, random question, but would you take your husband, if you choose to get married in the future, would you take your husband's last name?
I mean, only if it's
Like
better
good
than
one?
mine. I have a
Can we say-
4-letter full
Can
name.
we say
So
your last
like,
name on the show?
I think so.
Okay,
It's
so
Lee,
it's Lee,
L-I.
L-I. Yeah, yeah.
And so my name is super short and I kind of love that. So like, unless they have like a really cool name,
Yeah.
I think
I
I
like
just
one of
keep-
your nicknames. I think one of the online usernames you have is like Jelly Beaners or something like that. Because it's like G Lee.
yeah. So
But if
yeah,
I guess if
maybe
your husband's last name is G.
it would have to be like a bean. So I can combine the names
Yeah.
so that to be like jelly bean. That's funny. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't think
Was
so.
there
It's just a lot of work too.
So was there any other opinions? Because one of the reasons I want to talk about this and share on the pod is, at least for myself, and I'm assuming you, like, we love different opinions, different perspectives. We're just two people, and certainly by no means do we think that our opinions are everyone else's opinions. So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of fun and interesting to share our listeners' perspectives. So if you have opinions, you're like, wow, these guys are full of shit, or like, wow, they made a great point. This is what I did too. Like, let us know. Like, send us a DM, send us email, and we'll share on the pod. So on
Yeah.
that note, was there any other thoughts about the wedding episode?
Yeah, I had a few others, including the groom, who told me afterwards that, you know, like us talking about how expensive weddings are and everything like that. Like, yes, it is, but their view is like, it's very much like the YOLO mentality, you know, like you can always make money again, but memories are like a forever thing and memories stay with you for a very long time. And money is just, you know, it's money. So live your life kind of thing, which, yeah, I mean, totally valid. Right. So
that reminds me of one of my, I don't know, favorite quotes. I have a lot of favorite quotes, but yeah, certainly one of the quotes that stick with me, which is don't be too busy trying to make a living and not make and forget to live a life.
Yeah.
You've heard of that?
Yeah.
I really like that. And so, you know, obviously I have my opinions about the wedding, but like in terms of this idea of you have all the time in the world to make money, I'm totally for that. You don't want to, like, in a way, you have to balance out wise financial decisions with the fact that you don't know when your last day on earth is.
Yeah. You don't
Right?
know what could happen. I know.
So-
I'm always so torn between those two like
Yeah.
mentalities.
Hey, you save up all your money
Yeah.
for what? What if you get, knock on wood, any sort of diagnosis, chronic disease, and into an accident, and it's like you just toiled your entire life. You know, you try to enjoy it in Bali and stuff, right? But certainly you have a lot more in the bank to really enjoy life.
Yeah. I know. I'm always like so torn between like planning and being financially, I don't know, smart or whatever with my money, and also trying to like just live life. I feel like oftentimes I have that like, the devil
like,
and the angel on my shoulder.
You can do all you want. You can like work your ass off and then save up money because you think that you have some future that you need to save up for, which you're probably not wrong. But it's just like this, it's a bit dark. But for me, I don't think it's, I think the idea of reminding yourself, okay, now we were supposed to keep it, well, we didn't say this, but I know we're trying to keep it light, but like to remind yourself that like life is just unpredictable. You
Life
never
is
know what's
short.
going to happen. Yeah, life is short.
Totally.
Anyway, it's a good
I think that was
perspective.
most of the it was most of the feedback that I received, which is good because it generated discussion.
Well, one of our listeners and friend of mine did DM our Instagram to share a few thoughts about the wedding episode as well. And they said that weddings are great and traditions are good, even if it seems that the couple didn't want to do it, but actually they did. Otherwise, they would just not do it. We do silly things which we might not like because it's part of being connected with society and culture. it's not only about individual authenticity. The wedding is for the guests as much as it is for the newlyweds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, we did talk about that, right? That oftentimes weddings are in part for you and your partner, but also a lot of the times it's for friends and family to just get together. So, yeah.
Well, the one thing I want to say about that comment is I think it's a really good point, because I go on and on a bit too much. I apologize about my love for individual authenticity, sincerity, and just like doing your own thing. But in the end, we do live in society, right? Like, as much as I hate society, like, we live in it. And if there are certain traditions or norms or values, like, just because it is a tradition, as in like it doesn't exist other than the fact that society invented it, it doesn't have to mean that it's something you should push against. I think there's value in tradition.
This is a thought that I actually had listening back to one of our episodes where we were talking about aging and why people like go through plastic surgery, right, or try to make themselves look younger or whatever. And you were saying how if you didn't have to see another person ever again, like you would not care how you look. Like if there was nobody else on this earth, you would not care. And then I was listening back to the episode and I was like, yeah, but we do. We do have to see them. Exactly, there are people on this earth. So
yeah. No, that's a great point. So it's like more sort of like my naive romanticized ideal of like, we should live life on our own terms, but we share this life with so many people. It's not just on your own terms. So yeah,
it's your own Black Mirror episode that you have to create.
But yeah, thanks for all that. Hopefully the rest of you who we didn't hear from also had interesting thoughts about the wedding episode and our other episodes. In terms of listener feedback, I just want to give one more shout out. A couple of, not shout out, but in terms of sharing the feedback we got. A few episodes ago, we did the summer bucket list episode. And one of our listeners, who I also know, sent an email to say that one of their favorite things to do in the summer is to go paddling in Deep Cove and then finish off the day with some of the famous honey donuts. This is very local recommendation, so if you don't live in Vancouver, sorry, come to Vancouver and go kayak at Deep Cove. It is amazing. But have you kayaked at Deep Cove? It's almost like it's such a cliche to me, I feel like, because it's like so quintessential.
I know. No, I haven't kayaked at Deep Cove. I think I went boating there once maybe or something like that, but definitely did the hike right beside, because it's a very famous hike.
Quarry Rock.
It's the best bang for your buck hike that you can get. And yeah, definitely been to.
Well, you should definitely go kayak in Deep Cove then, G.
Okay. Or swim. I know people that swim there. So yeah. Well,
all right. What do you want to go next?
I mean, I just want to share something that I did this past week. It wasn't on my summer bucket list, but I feel like it's one of those things that maybe I should have added to my summer bucket list, which is like go watch a sports game. I went to go watch a baseball game this past week, which was my first baseball game ever. And I always thought that baseball was going to be a boring sport just based on what I've seen on TV in the past. But actually, I had so much fun. Like, I was fully engrossed in this game the entire time. I could tell my friends were drifting away, but I was fully into it, even though, like, not much happens, honestly, for most of the game. People are, like, coming in and out.
What are you engaged in if not much happens?
I just like watching that. Like, because, the pitcher will pitch, throw the ball, and then oftentimes, like, the umpire will catch it. So it's not even like they're hitting the ball often, because when you do hit the ball, it's like, wow, crazy. But most of the time they're not hitting the ball. So people are like, I was actually pretty shocked. People are just walking in and out of the stands the entire time, like grabbing drinks, grabbing food. They're coming in and out. They're chatting with each other. I'm like, hello, there's a game going on. But I think that's just the nature of like baseball. You just don't really pay attention until someone hits the ball. But I don't know. I just liked watching it. And plus, like, athletes are not hard to look at. So not too.
I have heard of your little baseball excursion offline. So I'm like, gee, tell us the real reason. Does it start with the letter B and does it end with the sound UTS?
Okay. Yes. Kind of.
Like
what?
Big, but I cannot lie.
I mean, people wearing a jersey, and especially baseball, they were wearing like white pants. I was like,
Oh, that's what
sight for sore eyes.
that's what gets G going. It's the white pants. If anyone's going on a date with G, wear some tight white pants. But you got to make sure you got a physique of a baseball player, though. So
Sure. Yeah. No, it was quite fun. And
like
they had fireworks there, which was on my bucket list. So there we go. Checked off the
Really?
fireworks.
fireworks in a baseball game?
Okay, so they have it, I think, every month, but like the fireworks were incredible. It was like 10 minutes or something. We were all like, okay, this is the
What?
longest fireworks set ever. And they had like it was an amazing show, and you're so close to it because you're sitting in the stands.
Oh,
I was like, if you
wow.
ever want to go watch fireworks, like just go to a baseball game when they have the fireworks on, and you can get a double deal for
Is
the
this a
price of
thing?
one.
Is this a baseball thing, or is it just this team or this place that you went to?
Might be a Vancouver thing. I don't know. But every month
Yeah.
they do a fireworks show after the game.
Oh,
So
interesting. That's such a good hack, honestly. Yeah, if
pretty
you like
cool. Yeah.
fireworks and you don't want to avoid the crowd and you don't want to have to go, reserve a spot at the beach since 5 p.m., go to a baseball game.
you get your own seat in the stand, and they do the fireworks right on the field. So it's
All
the
right.
closest that you can possibly get to fireworks.
Well, if there's anyone listening who knows a bit more and knows a bit about whether that's actually a thing, let us know. I don't want to recommend people. Can you imagine like if like a listener goes to a baseball game and then there's no fireworks? They're like, this show is a scam.
you, you have to
just-
check the
they
schedule
just-
to make sure.
They just spit, what is it called? Fake news.
Yeah. They just wanted to go for the fireworks, and there's no fireworks there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, good for
that's
you.
my
That's fun.
fun
I
activity
love
for the
doing new things. Like this is your first time, right? Going to a baseball
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, me too.
I've never
Yeah.
been to a baseball game.
was
I have no
fun.
interest in, but I don't know. I guess I would like to say you swayed me, but I'm not like super into tight white butts and stuff. So I don't know.
Tight white butts. Okay, that aside, the baseball game I thought was actually very interesting. And
Were there any home runs?
Yeah. We
Wow.
we actually killed it, so we won by like a landslide, I think. So good for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me think. Something that I was going to talk about is just something I kind of did, but it's not really something I did. It's something that I want to mention. Okay, it's highly controversial.
Ooh.
So, and this is uncut. Okay, so I am, but I think it's interesting. And before I get into it, I'm just gonna make it at most a minute. Okay, a story. But I just want to mention because I was like, I went to this. I'm like, oh, I got to talk about this on the podcast. It's kind of interesting. All
Yeah.
I'll talk about is just my personal feelings on how I felt as a result of this experience. That's what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk about anything else because it's a very touchy
Okay.
topic, and we're not here to ruffle feathers. Okay, so I was at
Sure,
Granville Island the
sure,
other
sure.
day, which is this local I don't even know how do you describe Granville Island to someone who's never been or someone who doesn't live in Vancouver?
It's a wharf. It's a it's a little
Can you imagine,
island with lots of shops and restaurants and a fisherman's wharf.
Do you think you can crap? What's that game where you act out something again?
Oh, describe or yeah.
No, what's that
Granville
game called?
Taboo?
No.
Oh,
That party
charades?
game. Yes, there we go. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Complete mind blank. Can you imagine charading Granville Island? Like as in that's your prompt? You gotta act it out. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
That's a huge tangent. So in Vancouver, city of Vancouver, we have this place at Granville Island. Actually, that's not even important. The point is, it's this public place that people go. There's a market, there's shops, it's fun. So I was there with my partner. And at one point, I was like, okay, we need a washroom break. So I see a washroom, and then it's a unisex washroom, which is not unusual. But this was not just a room where you open that's unisex. It was a walk-in, full-on, like you go in and then there's stalls inside this washroom. And this entire establishment, this entire washroom enclosure was unisex. So as I'm walking, I didn't break a stride. Again, my feeling is that I'm fine with this. So I'm not like, oh, I don't want to go in there. So I don't really break a stride. I'm just with my girlfriend. I'm like, oh, this is washroom. Oh, it's unisex. And so like, this is the right spot for both of us. So
Mm-hmm.
like we both just walk into the same washroom, and then I see stalls. I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go into the stall. So I go
Yeah.
into my stall, and then I come out and I'm washing my hands, and then like a few seconds later, she comes up because she's done and she's washing her hands like right next to me.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm just gonna focus on my feelings. I felt very uncomfortable.
Washing
And
washing your hands.
just being in that space
Yep.
with people of not my gender or sex or whatever they identify with, they're clearly not. And then one of the things that I overheard was a fellow. This is a very touristy place, so I think there's a lot of people who gather there. Maybe they're tourists or they don't usually come here together. But one of the tourists was this guy, and then he was like, "Oh, I never knew I would share a washroom with my sister-in-law. I guess we're getting to," and then she was like, "Yeah, we're getting to know each other on a whole new level here." It's a new thing, and I'm just gonna say, for me, I didn't feel very comfortable with it. It was very weird, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta talk about this." I felt weird. I felt bad when I was using washroom. I was like, "Oh, what if there's like a little girl or like whatever female like right next to me? I don't know, how did they feel?" But it was weird, and I've never been. There's a lot of unisex like sort of like handicapped wheelchair like rooms of washrooms you go to, right? But it's not the same space. Have you been to a unisex washroom where you both walk into the, like, you share the same sink and you could both go to the same row of cubicles?
Yeah, I mean, I can see the uncomfortableness because it is a new thing, right? It's getting to be like more and more common, but it's new. So of course it's going to take an adjustment, right? I have been to some of those restrooms before, and actually I ended up having not a great experience at one of these one time. It was like at a bar, and this washroom was kind of like in the back. So there was like a little bit of a hallway. It's like pretty far removed from the restaurant. It's like there's a hallway there, and then you go in, it's like really, really dark. You walk into the washroom, and then all the stalls are, unisex. So I went in there, I went into one of the stalls, and then a guy came in, and he was like drunk. He was just like yelling, right? Like blabbering away at something. And he was like outside of all the stalls. And I remember in that moment, I was like feeling pretty uncomfortable because I was like, I don't really want to walk out of the stall right now because I don't know if he's going to yell at me. Like, I don't know what he's going to do. I'm about to wash my hands. I literally just sat in the stall. He was like still blabbering away. And then he went into the stall. And then I just like quickly ran out, washed my hands, and then just left. So I remember like not being the most comfortable in those kinds of situations too, especially at a bar where everyone's like kind of drinking and stuff. But I mean, it's there are different styles of the same, kinds of washrooms. Like you said, there's like individual stalls, which I personally prefer more. But yeah, it's a very interesting. It is
interesting.
Thing.
Yeah, let's leave it there. Okay. Do you have something you want to segue to next?
I think mine is a bit more related to like being busy, prioritizing, and things like that.
I got a couple things I wanna shoot the shit about.
Okay.
Did you follow? Well, you've obviously heard about the submarine story.
Yeah.
Did you follow it? How invested, and how much did you follow, and how invested were you in that story?
I was like searching by the hour on Google. So I was very invested in it.
So tell me more. Tell me more about you.
Okay, so, I first heard of it on TikTok, as one does, because things come up. And I shared it. And as you share something, it'll pop up again and again on TikTok. And then so it was like, and then I started to go into hashtags. And then, of course, every single TikTok video then becomes that. So I got all the breaking news. I got everything, right? And I'm like a sucker for these kinds of stories. Like if there's something like this that happens, I follow it like so closely. So I was literally like at work, like Googling every hour or so, like submarine. And then they're doing like this countdown. And every time I did it, it was giving me like a panic attack because it was like 20 hours left, like 19 hours left. I'm like, oh my God, I hope they found it. And then, So it
That's
was
so
I was
funny to
very
me.
Invested in this, and you know,
Did you
unfortunately ended
become
in a tragedy.
a deep sea underwater submarine expert by the end of this?
Yeah, I was like Googling what, you know, the submersible is, what it's made of, and, you know, how do they operate this with a joystick? And like, you know, for me, I feel like this hits a bit closer to home because I do all these underwater activities.
Yeah,
And for me,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, oh my God, like this is just terrifying, right? Like that would be the worst case scenario. But yeah, so I found this particularly interesting.
I have a few different questions kind of to ask here, but I don't really know where to go. But the reason I bring this up is because it's another one of those things. It's similar to the King's convocation or Meghan and Harry's whatever wedding, or what was the other thing? Oh, the Queen dying.
Mm-hmm.
So these things that happen that just in completely invade and conquer the cultural discourse and the news, and either you're obsessed or you think it's just silly. And for
Mm-hmm.
this one, I think we talked about offline, we both didn't care. Sorry, not, I don't know if that's crass or rude to say, we didn't really care when Queen Elizabeth passed away, right? As a sort of a
Mm-hmm.
news item, we're like, we're not happy someone
Yeah.
died, but
Yeah.
it's not newsworthy to us.
Mm-hmm.
This submarine thing to me is not very newsworthy. It's probably a longer rant. I'm not going to get into why I don't think so. But you were very invested. So do you have any like reflections on just how you respond to different news items that are very large in the pop culture sort of space, or just the society's water cooler talk?
Yeah.
Like
I
why
mean,
are you into
I've
this?
seen, I've seen those posts, right? Of like, oh, why do people suddenly care about like 5 billionaires versus there
Yeah.
were, you know, there was a boat full of refugees that
Yeah.
drowned, you know, a few weeks ago, and it never made the news. Um, I feel like part of it is because things get reported more when it's, I don't necessarily think it's because they were billionaires. I think it was because it's such a rare case. Like, when do you ever have a submersible go down to see the Titanic and that just implodes? Like, it was such a, and the
Yeah,
fact that
that's
it was
true.
on the clock, like there was a timer to it, like there's only
Yes.
48 hours left.
Yeah.
It's like a countdown. It's literally, yeah, it's literally a race against time, right? You're looking for these people. Um, Uday actually said something else, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something along the lines, and it's not sad, but I guess it's true. It's like, you know, one person dying is a
Oh, I heard this quote.
tragedy,
Yeah.
and
A million
millions of
people
people dying is like a
that is a
statistic or something.
statistic. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's part of it too. But when you
Yeah, it
have these
is.
like crazy things that can happen, the other one that my friend brought up was the Thai boys that were trapped in a cave. Do you remember that?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
the scuba divers had to go and rescue them. Like,
Yeah.
just crazy stories like these, I think, are often what catches
Yeah.
people, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think the only thing I'll say in as one sentence time as possible is what captures our attention and what is popular in the news does not, unfortunately, reflect what is the most pertinent information that people need to know and be aware of. And that's just how it is.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
What's newsworthy
I mean,
is not what
to
makes
all,
the news all the time.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, to all those people who ever thought about going on Ocean Gate's submersible expedition, now
Yeah,
you know.
darn.
Maybe you don't want to go. Yeah, for you guys, maybe maybe
Very
not
relevant.
so.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to rethink this, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that was.
I know you said you didn't have any other stories to, but I gotta get you to share on the pod this thing you told me offline, which is your perfect day.
I was
That
going to
might be
talk about that, but that was going to be part of my.
Oh.
It was going to be part of our priorities, but maybe I should just segue into that so then we can
Yeah,
talk about
let's-
prioritizing.
Okay,
our time.
Okay. Before we segue into that, I just gotta give a shout out to Uber One. or Uber Eats. This is a
Okay.
common theme.
Not sponsored, but okay.
No, it's a common theme on our show. So I just think it's funny. You got to mention it. It first came up, I think, when you were talking about your resolutions. And then we talked about it again, or I talked about it again when you recommended the free Amazon Prime sponsored pass to DoorDash.
Uh-huh.
Did you know I haven't been on Uber Eats because I've just been DoorDashing now that I have the pass.
Yeah.
I opened up Uber Eats recently because I had a reminder in my calendar, cancel Uber One membership. I think at one point I signed up for a free trial. So I'm like, okay, I think I already canceled that, but let me double check. So I open the app and then there's a pop-up that says, do you want a 1 year free membership because you have this TD credit card?
Oh, yes. I do have that. So
the credit card I had on file with them, or maybe there's many others, but for what it's worth, just I know personally, the one I had, which is a TD credit card with them, yeah, it came with a 1 year free membership. I wanted it. And I'm like, well, yeah, hell yes. So now I have 1 year membership to DoorDash and Uber Eats. So who's getting more takeout? This guy.
I know. And both of them are actually just really like in competition with each other. They're doing all these like crazy deals. Like, I don't know, at one point, if you knew, they were doing $1 meals, they were doing $1 they're like crazy discounts. I'm like, what is going on? Like, are not enough people using these apps and that they need to heavily promote themselves? I don't know what's going on.
Wait, so do you have a free membership, 1 year membership to Uber Eats as well?
Yeah.
Because of a
credit card. I think I talked about this that episode. But yeah.
Oh, okay. So. Okay. Oh wait, well, I'm just late to the party, so now I am also hooked up to the discounts. So
yeah, skip the dishes. Come on, you need to get your shit together.
I also started doing, I think this is what you told me, but oh, you know what? It's not. It's a friend who actually Uber Eats drives for fun on the weekend with her boyfriend. It's absolutely hilarious that they do this. They go on dates. Their dates is they drive around together, right? One person's the driver. You don't have to find proper parking. And then the other person's the one who runs in, grabs the food, comes back car, and then drops it off the apartment. And the other person just stays in the car. That's how they like hang out.
Wow. That's how they bond.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true. And if you're driving all the time, you have people to talk with or somebody to talk to. Why not? Yeah, and make money at the same time.
Yeah. They're just chilling.
That's so smart.
And then they recently got an electric car. So they're good with gas and stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, so this person was telling me about how it works behind the scenes about like being a Uber Eats driver or whatever. And then so I didn't know this, and that's probably just me being ignorant, but I didn't know that you can add tip afterwards or even take away tip even after you've tipped. And so because I know that now, what I do is that I try and tip more once I've confirmed that the food is not a complete mess.
Oh, yeah. I do something similar, actually. I tip half at the start.
Yes, yeah.
And then I tip the other half.
Asshole.
Yeah, I tip the other half once I get the food. Yeah.
That's so funny. You know, like how people in like crime movies or action movies, they do this crazy deal and we're like, all right, I'm going to charge 10 million bucks. I'll pay you 5 million right now. Pay you 5 million when the job is done.
It's a deposit, you know? Or yeah. It's half the money up front. Oh, anyway, nice.
Okay, that was a lot of fun things. I thought we wouldn't. So I don't even know how much time we had to talk about this main topic that we want to talk about. But we'll
I had faith in us. I knew we were gonna get there.
Just FYI, behind the scenes, I was like, gee, we need to have a main discussion topic because we can't just talk about nonsense for almost an hour. Like, it's uncut. It's unedited. I don't have faith in us, but you did. So I apologize.
I did.
It's 38 minutes now, and I still have more I can talk about, but I'm not going to get into it.
Well, exactly. But maybe we should start talking about our designated topic.
Okay, you introduce it.
Okay, I'm going to start. So I guess our main topic for today was going to be the topic of like priorities, being able to juggle friends, family, relationships, especially right now during the summer when we just talked about at the beginning how we're so busy with all these plans. It's been nice weather. People want to hang out, and how we're trying to manage that at the moment, which has been difficult for David, I think, and not so easy for me either. I mean, not to the extent of David, but it's been challenging. But this weekend I did have a longer weekend than most. I had a day off on Friday, and I just spent that day like for myself. So I always do these things where if I have a day off, I try to live my perfect day or like my ideal day. Cause, you know, people will always ask you, like, what does your ideal day look like? What does your perfect day look like? And you give these answers, but like, how often do you actually go out and live that day? So I try to live that day whenever I can. And it,
Okay, so
you
this
know,
is not the first time you've done this. This is like a regular thing you do where you're like, hey, I
mhm.
want to live my perfect day today.
Yeah. Usually it's every other week because
Holy shit.
I have the privilege of a day off every other week, and like my friends don't really. So I can't go hang out with them, and so I do like
Damn.
my perfect day for myself, and yeah,
That's
it's the best
goals.
thing
You
ever.
get
Yeah.
G gets a perfect day in your life every other week. I
Yeah. I mean,
just
they're
um,
it's not, you know, it's not like I'm not going unrealistic here. Like, it's not like if you had to live the very last day of your life, like, what would you do? It's like, what
well,
is
G
your
would eat.
ideal day? Yeah,
Well,
I would eat
if it
pho.
was the last day of life, yeah, G would eat pho. We all know what she's gonna do. She's gonna be at 4:37. You know, sign her up.
You're eating some noodles.
Okay, I'll start
Um,
interrupting you. So, what did you end up doing for your perfect day?
so my perfect day always consists of waking up early, which is something I do every day, but you know, it's part of it. Going to get like a good sweat in, a good workout, coming back, going to like a coffee shop to either read, or in this case, I was editing the pod, but going early, right? Sitting outside when the sun is shining with a cup of coffee and a little snack and just like enjoying the moment of gratitude in the sun is something that I love. So I love coffee shops. And then after that, I went home and I packed up my beach bag and I went to the beach by myself. And this is like at 10, right? Because I start my day really early. So by the time I'm like there going to the beach, it's like 9:30, 10. So
Jesus
I'm
Christ.
at the beach before like everyone else. Well, all the paddle boarders are out there swimming or like paddling or swimming. And it's like so zen because people aren't at the beach yet and it's not crowded. I'll sit there, I'll breathe in the salty air and listen to the sound of waves and stare out at the mountains and try to just get in my like meditative state. And then I'll stay there for a few hours and then I'll go home. And then that's when I kind of like get some chores done because I like to be productive. So get some chores done for the weekend. And then my perfect day usually also involves seeing some like friends or family and having some like social time as well. So that was Friday because we went out and hung out with hung out with David and our mutual friends. So that was like my perfect day. It's not difficult to achieve. I just actively try to do it. So
No, it's a good point. I mean, that sounds amazing. It's such an interesting. I love hearing that from you because I think it's so right. You're so right. People, I think generally, I don't know. I guess just from my life, I don't hear of people doing this other than you. Like, yeah, I think it's uncommon for people to live out their ideal day. I think
mhm.
the most they ever do is when they answer the online dating app prompt, "What is your ideal weekend?" And then they're like, fill it up. But like, how often do they live that out? But you're actively and consciously be like, hey, let me go and do that today. But
Yeah.
I think the challenge is I know what my perfect day looks like. I could go and do it, but I don't have time.
Don't you though? Like what? I think people overthink their perfect day. I think it's not that deep. Like I always say, I think, you know, if you think about what brings you the most joy in your life or in a day, often those things are like little things. And I think even if you don't live out your perfect day, even if you live out a perfect moment or something that you love to do, you know, I think that's good enough. Like my perfect day didn't consist of everything that I love doing that I could possibly fit in a day. I had plenty of downtime. I scrolled my phone that day, but I incorporated things that I really enjoy. And then together, that kind of just made up a perfect day, right? So start small, do little things that you enjoy. It doesn't, I think for you, you're like, okay, this perfect day, I'm going to have to plan it out and it's going to have to like be like 9 to 10 is going to be my favorite, you know, coffee shop. 10 to 12 is my favorite hike. Like, it doesn't have to be like that, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to think about that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what my favorite day would look like. What do you think my favorite day would look like, or involve, or constitutes?
Like a hike for sure, right? That's like one of your favorite things, isn't it?
You know, and that's the thing, right? Everyone knows I like hiking, and I do like hiking. But the ironic thing is, for how much I talk about, or that I know I like hiking, I think last summer, for example, I didn't go on a single hike.
Yeah. Honestly, that's
I am living. I'm. Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of true for me too in terms of hiking. I also love hiking, but I always feel like, and this is where I need to make the mentality shift. I always feel like it's like a whole day activity where it's not, it doesn't have to be. I think a lot of the hikes are easy enough where you can just take a few hours in a day. But to me, it's always like, okay, I have to plan like a whole day around hiking, but some hikes are just a few hours. I mean, it depends on which hike you do.
Well, I mean, it depends where you live too. So we live in Vancouver,
yeah.
so we have the luxury of accessing some nice trails and to do in a few hours. A lot of folks don't. But I guess this idea of loving hiking is very, very Vancouver thing too. Except apparently your friends don't like hiking. I don't know what's going on with that. Sorry, all of G's friends, like, do you even live in Vancouver? What's going on?
Yeah, I try to go hiking, and then like everyone's kind of like, nah. I'm like, okay.
It's like a cliche almost on dating apps, right? Like everyone's like, "What's your hobby?" It's almost like if you are dating, if you go on dates in Vancouver, just don't talk about the fact that you like hiking, because that doesn't make you sound interesting at all. Everyone likes hiking.
Yeah, everyone's got a hiking photo.
Do you see that? Have you found that?
Yeah. Tunnel Bluffs, Eagle Bluffs. I can always identify where they are.
yeah. It's pretty basic.
Yeah.
So you
anyway.
I mean, so time, like, you find you just make time. Like, how do you prioritize so that you're because you've got stuff to do. You're
well, again, I think it's
life. How do you juggle?
I honestly, like, well, first I have the luxury of being able to take a day off, but otherwise I think I make the time by getting up early. Like, between even if I have something to do early in the morning, say at like noon, if I have an appointment or something, I still have so much time because I wake up early. So like I have all that time to myself. Nobody's going to make an appointment with me at like 6 a.m. So I try to get everything that I like to do done. Yeah, just way like first, right? Get that out of the way so I can be in a good mood, and then I can go do whatever I need to do. But honestly, I don't have that much that I need to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just find I'm always so busy, and it's just, I know it's something that I can fix somehow. Like, it's because I'm not as busy as an entrepreneur or a CEO or something. Like, I gotta figure something out, but I just always feel so burnt out.
You got to take some time to smell the flowers. Well, I think it's also a special time for you because you've got family visiting. Like, it's not like this is going to be this way forever.
Yeah, that's true. So my sister arrives tonight. Actually, I'm going to pick her up in about an hour from now.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't think I've seen her for like 5 years or something because of the pandemic and whatnot.
Whoa.
She lives in Hong Kong, so she's only here for a few weeks. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Everyone knows my sister. What the heck? I'm just
we love Brenda.
Make sure I don't share any personally identifiable information.
She's got the most listened to podcast.
Yeah, she does. So my sister, y'all, is in town, and so I'm just like, I can't. Like, even the past few weeks with my mom here, not her fault. I'm not whatever, but like, it's, I'm trying to make as much time for her, but I also gotta, my work has also been insanely busy, and want to keep the girlfriend happy too. So it's I feel like I've been just juggling all these balls in the air, and none of them are mine. And so I need a break.
You need a break. We need a break. Oh,
We need a
are we?
we need a
Are we
break,
there?
G. Yes, yes. This is me segueing, G. Come on, get with the program. We're professionals, okay? We're professionals. Let's go.
We're there. Okay. We need a
We need a
break.
break.
That's the gist of what we're trying to say here.
I need a break. I don't know. I guess if G probably can keep this ship running, but I need a break.
Honestly, I need a break or I'm going to get to David's level and I don't want to be there. So I also need a break before I get there.
Okay, so what's happening? Do you want to start us off or?
I mean, so we were doing a lot of brainstorming. Okay, guys, this was not an easy decision. We did not just arrive at this decision at the drop of a hat. Okay. But basically, we need to take a bit of a break because, it's summer and we're spending a lot of time editing, recording the podcasts. And we've been doing really well so far. We've not taken a break in 23 weeks. So I think we deserve a little bit of,
That's fucking impressive, okay?
It is. It really is. So our plan is, you can tell the folks our plan.
So the plan is to take a break. We don't want to set a specific date, but it will be about a month. Mm-hmm. We are scared. I mean, we'll be vulnerable and honest. I think we're a small pod. We're trying to grow, but it's just a very small pet project. So we are worried about will our momentum be affected? Will anyone listen when we come back? But not only for my mental health, but I think taking a bit of break will actually allow us to reinvest in the pod. I think something that I certainly agree with is the idea that when it comes to content creation, like you want to make sure you're putting out quality content. Like what's that guy called that does the engineering stuff? Mark Rober on YouTube. Do you know Mark Rober? He's like the fun engineering. Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Anyway, so there's some folks who like put out 12 videos a year, but every video gets like 10 million views because it's like quality over quantity, right? And because we're at a point where summer is so busy, we're probably going to get to a point where the quality of our content or our guests or just the programming will suffer. And we don't want that. We don't want to put out stuff for the sake of it. So to make sure that we keep putting out quality content, to make sure that David keeps his sanity. Yes. But actually, the main thing is that we want to use this month as an opportunity to reinvest in the podcast. Do you want to talk about that, G?
Yeah. So for a while now, we have been kind of struggling with the social media side of our podcast. You may have noticed we have 0 posts on our Instagram.
And yet we have enough amazing people in life. We have like 50 followers and there's 0 posts. It's like the most unearned 50 follows in all social media.
It's because we have great friends. But yeah, so, we really want to spend some time to start launching our socials, which includes, hopefully Instagram, TikToks, and between recording and editing, we haven't really had time to be able to focus on our social media strategy, if you will, or content creation. And so hopefully we can use this time while we're not recording to start launching some Instagram stories. And, the idea is that we have, we can share, things that we're talking about from the pod from season 1. Ooh, we have a season now from season 1 of the pod.
Oh, season finale.
Yeah, because we've often talked about things where we're like, oh, we wish we could share this clip on Instagram. Like we had funny clips or funny things that we wanted to share, but without launching anything, it's kind of awkward to just go into sharing things.
The first post on this Instagram account is like a 1-minute video of David just doing 50 burpees.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the context here? Like
at your work.
Yeah, exactly. In my dress shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So we need to start, actually launching it so we can regularly post things that we're talking about. So come season 2, maybe that's what you can expect is some Instagram posts. We're hoping to try and get some of these episodes onto YouTube as well. So yeah, we're going to put our focus towards that over the next little while.
Yeah. So this will be the last episode for about a month. So if you're wondering kind of when we're back, or if you want to support us, make sure this is the time. Follow us. I never say this concretely because I feel a bit sheepish, right? It's like follow an Instagram account for all the zero content that we're going to provide you. No. That will change. It may not change right away, but it will change. So that's at That's 30 Show Pod. That's 30S Pod. Oh, 30S Show Pod. At That 30 Show Pod. Give us a follow on Instagram. We haven't created our TikTok, but I'm pretty sure everything will be That 30 Show Pod. Mm-hmm. So find us on Instagram first and foremost. We'll launch everything there. And hopefully we come back season 2 in, let's say, mid to late August. And we're coming back stronger and better than before. Our episodes will be up on YouTube so that our mutual friend who keeps complaining that we're not on YouTube, finally, he can have no excuse not to listen to us. We can see if he actually does listen.
That's right.
Hopefully we have some clips of some interesting, one-liners or whatnot that we'll post on TikTok. And we'll have, guests lined up. So we're not just flying by the seat of our pants, messaging people and be like, hey, can you come on next week? Because we didn't get our shit together.
Yeah, that's the behind the scenes of what's been going on lately. It's a 1 week advance notice for our guests. So not good. We need to regroup.
Bad. Yeah. But it's honestly like, let's end with some quick reflection, which is like, I've had so much fun. Like season 1, I don't know. We never really thought about it as season 1, but like now that we're wrapping up this season 1, like, how do you feel, G?
I feel, I mean, it's been an awesome journey so far. I mean, I'm just so like proud of us that we were able to continue this project on for so long, for as long as we did actually, and have been able to get on like, quality guests that I feel like brought a lot of discussion and a lot of good, thoughtfulness and vulnerability to our pod. And again, we thank all of our guests for coming on and all of our friends who have been listening. But yeah, I'm excited to launch socials and think about season 2.
Yeah, I think I have the same thoughts, which is just, I think it's the accountability, right? Like I can't disappoint you. And if anything, even if we never get to grow our follower base bigger than we currently have, I think this has been one of the highlights of my adult life, certainly creatively outside my job. It's just so fun to be able like, yeah, I did that. And it's not so much even about like, oh, how many people do you listen to you? I think that it's just a proof of concept that if you just do something, like you can do it. It's not a bestseller, right? It's not topping the charts, but it's a fun creative project. And, this sounds braggy, but my point is I feel very humbled by the fact that I had a few friends who listened to this and they're like, wow, like there's this thing that I've been meaning to do. And I guess I really should just go and do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like I've this play I want to write. Let me write it. Like, I've also wanted to start a podcast, but now I should really just go do it. Cause like you guys inspire me and I live for that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is the best. And I'm so glad we got started on, because it's like it was a project that we've been talking about for a while too. So I'm so glad that we were able to start it ourselves and actually take that step to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have that one line in day journal, right? I sent you the screenshot the other day, or the photo I took of it, where recently, 5 years to this day, I wrote down in my journal, G and I talked about starting a podcast.
Yeah. Hey, that's something we can post on our Instagram.
Yes, yeah. I've been meaning to post that on Instagram. Yeah, exactly. So I guess not to be too sort of cheesy, but if any of you are listening and you've been sitting on that creative project or that idea, you just got to do it. One thing that I was really careful about is I don't want to make sure we know exactly what we're doing before we start, because if we do, we're never going to start. Mm-hmm. There's so much that we have to learn. Like even right now, we're still trying to improve our audio quality. We're still trying to create social media. And it's not like, do we have a ton of followers? No. But you just got to start somewhere, right? So if you're thinking of something, do it, because you never know what will happen.
Exactly. And David and I will support you. So there you go.
Yes. I will follow your Instagram even if there's no content on it.
Anyway, on that note, I think we're
good.
Talked enough. Yeah.
All right.
And so,
as a final reminder before we wrap up the season, please, help us out. If you think we produce something that you guys enjoy, give us a rating on Spotify, give us a review on Apple Podcasts, email us with any feedback, or if you want to come on the show, that30showpod@gmail.com, our Instagram that we are launching.
Yes.
I mean, I make it sound very exciting. I hope it lives up. But at that30showpod, give us a follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. We can't wait to come back season 2 to talk to you guys again. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey.
Thanks, everyone. We love you. Hags.
Hagas. Fags. Like, find a girl or guy soon. Not the slur.
Oh, God. Okay, what a way to end our podcast. Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Bye.